Dear participants, welcome to Latvenergo Investor webinar. The first part of the call will be dedicated to the company's presentation, and during the second, we'll gladly take your questions. Please submit them in writing through the Q&A window below the presentation. For your convenience, we are recording the webinar and replay will be available shortly after the call. Let me now introduce you to our host, Latvenergo Management Board Member and CFO, Guntars Balčūns. Guntar, over to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. In this session, I will present Latvenergo Group financial results for 2024. So before we explore the financial results, let's take a look at Latvenergo Group. Latvenergo is the largest and leading energy supplier in the Baltics, and the largest green electricity producer in the Baltics. In 2022-4, we produced 4.8 terawatt hours of electricity, and from that, 66% comes from renewables. Our business is structured in two segments, generation and trade, and distribution. Distribution side is vital as it brings cash flow stability. Meanwhile, generation and trade segment focuses on building up renewable assets and maximizing the value of existing generation assets. At this point of time, we have a project pipeline of 1,000 megawatts of solar and wind capacity, with 123 megawatts already built and operational. Latvenergo is state-owned enterprise holding credit rating Baa2 and maintaining a stable outlook. Let me first highlight the key financial market factors and events that has affected our business performance. In 2024, electricity market prices in the Nord Pool Power Exchange decreased across all bidding areas compared to previous year. This decline is attributed to lower natural gas prices and increase in renewable energy generation across Europe. The price decrease in the Baltics was more modest due to electricity production capacity deficit in Baltics and extended maintenance on cross-border interconnections, which limited electricity imports from Nordic countries. In the Baltics, the price decreased by 4 to 8%, reaching about 87 euros per megawatt hour. Meanwhile, electricity price decrease across other European countries have been more significant. Shifting our focus on financial performance, in this slide, we have provided an overview of our key financial figures for 2024. So the results align with the market trends. Lower energy prices have led to 16% decline in revenue. Meanwhile, the group's EBIT remained roughly the same as it was a year ago, amounting to 589 million euros. At the same time, we have substantially increased the investments. That has reached 530 million euros. Of these, almost 350 million euros was invested in wind and solar assets. If we look at EBIT dynamics, we can see that the lower energy prices have resulted in lower EBITDA for generation and trade segment, while EBITDA increased for distribution segment is mainly driven by changes in distribution tariffs starting from the 1st July 2023. But now let's take a look at each segment separately. So in 2024, generation and trade segment accounted for about 75% of total group's revenues and EBITDA. Segment revenue decline was due to lower energy prices. However, results were boosted by lower natural gas price, increase in retail gas sales, higher output at combined heat and power plants. Looking at our main generation indicators, we see very good results. In total, we generated 4.8 terawatt hours of electricity, representing 27% of total electricity generated in the Baltics. Electricity generation at Daugavas hydropower plants decreased by 16% in 2024 due to lower water inflow in Daugava River. Despite this, it was still 10% higher production levels than long-term average, and we have reached 3.1 terawatt hour of electricity produced at our hydropower plants. However, there was a notable 18% increase in electricity output at our combined heat and power plants, reaching 1.6 terawatt hours. This increase was influenced by lower natural gas prices. Therefore, in 2024, Latvenergo Group was both the largest electricity producer and the largest producer of green electricity in the Baltics. Now let's shift our focus on key highlights for our trade activities. In 2024, our electricity customer base grew by 6%, reaching 896,000 customers. This aligns with group strategy, which aims to expand our customer base. In 2024, we managed to increase our customer base by 25% in Lithuania and Estonia, reflecting strong customer interest in Latvenergo products across the Baltics. Meanwhile, the number of our gas customers is up by 33%, reaching 65,000. In 2024, we sold 6.1 terawatt hour of electricity to our retail customers. This secured our Baltic retail electricity market share of 22%. Meanwhile, our natural gas retail sales in Baltics increased by 33%, reaching 1.2 terawatt hours. Another strategic target is to advance the electromobility business in the Baltics. At the end of 2024, a total of 974 charging ports were available to our Electrum Drive customers in the Baltics. Our plan is to expand network to at least 1,200 ports by 2026. In 2024, over 115,000 charges were carried out at Electrum Drive charging station, amounting of 2.5 gigawatt hours of electricity, and resulting in saving of more than 1.5 thousand tons of CO2 emissions. Now let's take a look at the distribution segment. So at the end of December, the asset value of this segment was 1.8 billion euros, making up 23% of group's EBITDA. Segment provides electricity distribution services to approximately 800,000 customers in Latvia. With the introduction of new distribution tariffs on 1st July 2023, financial results of the distribution segment have improved. Additionally, distribution segment also benefited from 2% increase in electricity consumption in Latvia. However, the rise in electricity transmission service costs negatively affected the results. The segment revenues increased by 8%, reaching 371 million euros, meanwhile segment's EBIT increased by 19% to 133 million euros. In line with the group strategy, the target is to continuously and cost-effectively improve the distribution network quality. To achieve this, capital investment program is being implemented, which involves as well expanding use of underground and insulated cables. In 2024, we have significantly improved the SAIFI and SAIDI indicators by 20%. SAIFI and SAIDI indicators mainly represent the quality level of distribution service. Now let's take a look at investments. So with the development of renewable energy production capacity, the investments made by Latvenergo Group increased 2.7 times and reached 530 million euros. Of these, 65% or 348 million euros were made in new wind and solar generation assets. Meanwhile, approximately 120 million euros of investments were dedicated to improve distribution service reliability and quality. As you may know, Latvenergo Group strategy for 2026 foresees the expansion of renewable energy generation portfolio by 600 megawatts and by 2,300 megawatts by 2030. At this point of time, we can see that the target for 2026 will be achieved as 1,000 megawatt of solar and wind capacity has been already secured, with 122 megawatts already built and operational. Our largest investment projects to the date is Aispute Solar Park with a total capacity 265 megawatts, which will begin operations later this year. Telšiai Wind Power Park with total capacity 124 megawatts in Lithuania, and Latflora Energy Wind Power Plant with total capacity of 109 megawatts in Latvia. Both wind parks are scheduled to begin energy production in 2026. Let's turn to the funding part. At the end of 2024, Latvenergo concluded a loan agreement with Nordic Investment Bank for a loan of 230 million euros with 15 years maturity. The loan is intended to finance green projects, and the proceeds will be invested in development of solar parks, the reconstruction of hydropower plants, and the modernization of Latvia's electricity distribution network. Total borrowings at the end of 2024 were 743 million euros, of which 27% were green bonds. Net debt was 657 million euros. As you can see in the graph, Latvenergo Group has very balanced debt repayment schedule and diversified source of financing. In the autumn of 2024, Moody's confirmed the credit rating of Latvenergo, which remains Baa2 with a stable outlook. Moody's has been assigning the credit rating to Latvenergo since 2004, and it has been Baa2 with a stable outlook since 2015. In 2024, all the financial covenants set in Latvenergo Group loan agreements were met. Liquidity reserves were sufficient to implement planned investment program, fulfill commitments according to the debt repayment schedule, and pay out dividends. That concludes our review of results for 2024. And now let's move to the current events. Regarding recent events, I would like to remind those who may not yet know that starting from November, we have implemented changes in the organizational structure of Latvenergo Group. In November 2024, Electrum Next subsidiary of Latvenergo was established. Electrum Next is planning to consolidate all the renewable energy assets developed within the group. Currently, Electrum Next includes solar power plants completed in 2024, such as Skūte, Rūjiene, Bauska, Reizekne, Nelēja, Ķegums solar power plants. Over past 6 months period, there are 3 generation plants with significant anniversaries. I will start with the Ķegums hydropower plant, which began operations in 1939 as one of the most modern hydropower plant. It celebrated its 85th anniversary in October. 40 years after its construction, the plant was expanded and currently operates with installed capacity of 248 megawatts. In November, we marked the 15th anniversary of the first hydroelectric unit at Riga hydropower plant, the second largest hydropower plant in Latvia with 402 megawatts of capacity. Lastly, we marked the 70th anniversary of Latvenergo combined heat and power plant 1 in January this year. Over the years, this plant has been expanded and modernized to 158 megawatts of electric capacity. Currently, it's being upgraded by installing new equipment to enable operations in condensing mode, improving the flexibility of a power plant. This upgrade is important for strengthening the security of supply in the Baltic region. And of course, we are planning to operate this plant also in the balancing market. Today, I would also like to share the progress in achieving sustainability strategy targets. On this slide, you can see the key sustainability KPIs and achievements for the last year. Let me mention 2 KPIs in each category. Let's start with environment category. To verify the climate targets In spring of 2024, we carried out net zero assessment conducted by Moody's, which confirms that our climate targets align with Paris Agreement. Another key target is 47% reduction in Scope 1 greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. In 2024, we achieved a 60% reduction compared to 2021. As I already mentioned in my presentation earlier, these results are closely linked to our ongoing investments in green energy generation capacities. As to the social area, in 2024, we reached the target of 0 serious accidents, as well as 5% in the number of children and young people involved in educational activities. To achieve this, Latvenergo organized physics festival for students and equips physics classrooms for schools. In the governance area, I would like to highlight 2 targets related to procurements. In 2024, we developed Latvenergo Group Suppliers Code of Conduct with the aim of purchasing goods and services sustainably and responsibly. The code sets out the basic principles and requirements that the group suppliers are expected to meet. The code is published on Latvenergo website. In addition, sustainable procurement guidelines were adopted in 2024, serving as a basis for establishing sustainable requirements in our procurements. Last area is about sustainable finance, which consists of 2 KPIs. Both KPIs were achieved in 2024. More than 90% investments were compliant with EU taxonomy, and funding for innovation and research and development was 3%. In strategies, the target was 0.5%. Regarding recent rewards, I would like to mention that we have received 3 awards recently in the last 6 months period. So last September, Elektrum Lietuva, a subsidiary of Latvenergo, received Nameis Award for fastest growth in service export to Lithuania, confirming that Elektrum Lietuva has been the fastest growing Latvian company operating in the Lithuanian market. In December last year, Latvenergo received highest diamond category in Latvia's sustainability index. For 3rd year in a row, sustainability index helps companies assess the sustainability of their operations and level of corporate responsibility. Latvenergo achieved the highest possible rating through the implementing of many activities regarding governance, stakeholder engagement, corporate social responsibility, non-financial information disclosure, green solutions for customers, and the implementation of the strategy. Lastly, in February of this year, Latvenergo for the 4th time won the award for the best investor relations among all the bond issuers in the Baltics. The recognition received is especially important at a time when Latvenergo developing new renewable energy generation capacities. And for these investment projects, it will be very important to continue to attract necessary funding. So yes, let's review or summarize key highlights of my presentation. So in 2024, we have generated 4.8 terawatt hours of electricity, 66% of which is green, making us the largest renewable electricity producer in the Baltics. We have made great progress in achieving our customer growth targets. In 2024, our electricity customer base grew by 6%, reaching almost 900,000 customers, while the number of gas customers increased by 33%, reaching 65,000. At this time, we can see that the group's medium-term strategy target of increasing renewable energy generation portfolio by 600 megawatts by 2026 will be achieved. We already have secured 1,000 megawatts of solar wind capacities. In conclusion, while we have experienced slight decrease in EBITDA and profit, our results remain strong and aligned with the overall market trends. I would also like to highlight the investments in new renewable generation capacity has increased quite substantially. So thank you for your attention, and now I am open to any question.
Thank you. Let's start with the first question that we have received. Meanwhile, participants, all your questions are welcome through the Q&A box that you see beneath the presentation. Does the Nordic Investment Bank funding cover all the needed capital to reach your investment goals? Are there any new bonds that could be potentially issued?
Yes, thank you for the question. Nordic Investment Bank financing is very important, but it is not the only one. At the moment, we are also working with one additional large investment bank. So we expect to announce the news quite shortly, and definitely our capital needs are quite huge. So by the end of this year, we will look for additional options how to finance our investment plans, but at the moment, no decisions have been taken.
Thank you. How is the wind power plant project progressing? When do you expect to start the execution phase?
Yes, thank you for the question. I probably could could come up to the investment slide. Just a minute. So yes, we have two wind power large parks, Telšai and Latvenergo, and commercial operational date for these two plants is 2026. But I guess the energization date for Telšai Park could be also in 2025.
Thank you. And our third question, could you please explain the difference between Latvijas Vēja Park and Electrum Next in terms of their purpose, ownership, and activities?
Yes, thank you also for this question. Regarding Electrum Next in this company, our target is mainly to concentrate all the assets that are in the Baltics. So it is included also in our investments in Lithuania and Estonia. However, Latvijas Vēja Park is a specific project that is just in Latvia. And for that project, there is also a quite specific regulation in place. So we have secured land plots in Latvijas valsts meži. So that is with like a limited investment option. So this project is just for Latvia and in Latvian state forest.
Thank you. I do not see any open questions, so we will be closing the call shortly. Participants, thank you for joining us today, and we're looking forward to seeing you in our next calls in future.
Thank you very much.